Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to our continued coverage of the best games of 2019. Today we're taking a look at top 10 family games. So family games, some people call these casual games. I mean, you don't have to play them with your family, you can play them with anybody. But these games often aren't looked at in the top 10 lists because people are looking for heavy games, whether they're war games or Euro games or big solitaire games or adventure games or whatever it might be. These kind of games get underlooked, but I think they're important to talk about. So let's take a look here at my top 10 favorite family games from 2019, starting with number 10.
Number 10.
It's always easy to get people to play a game that is based on an app, and that's one of the things that Lucky Duck has done with many of their games. This is one of the first good apps, I think, in board games to app, or apps to board games that they've done, and that is Jetpack Joyride. Jetpack Joyride is a pretty simple game. You are, at the same time as everybody else, placing Tetris shapes, polynomial, whatever they're called, these shapes here onto a grid as fast as you can, making a little jet guy fly through and go through different obstacles. And you're just trying to be the fastest while also accomplishing several goals. Nice pieces, low price point, easy to play, easy to teach, and it's fair because you might say, well, my course was harder than yours. No problem. Each round we pass our courses to the person to the left and you play the same course somebody else did. I think it's a lot of fun. It's simple and easy for people to get into. My number 10, Jetpack Joyride.
Number 9.
Continuing on the trend of basing things off of other stuff. So I talked about something based on Jetpack Joyride. Now we're going to talk about one of the biggest video games that's ever been made, and that is Minecraft, Builders and Biomes. So Minecraft is a game that is just transcended. It's in everybody's vocabulary. Most kids have played it at some point or other. Some of my kids love playing it. Minecraft, the board game, which I thought might just be a cash grab, is not. It's actually quite a good game. In this game, you're moving your people through different piles of either different types of buildings, which you can build in your area, using blocks that you're going to be pulling off of this actual cube of blocks, or you can fight enemies using a little bit of a push your luck mechanism. It's simple, offers really good choices, and brings in a lot of that theme that the kids will know from Minecraft, while if you are someone who, like me, knows what Minecraft is but doesn't really play it, you can still enjoy it as a very entertaining, fun game. So, Minecraft, my number 9.
Number 8.
Number 8. I did not ever think I would put a legacy game on a family games list, but here we are. This is based on a very popular dice game, Koro Legacy. So Koro is a game in which you roll dice, you see what buildings you have. If they match the dice, you will get coins and or steal coins from other people. And you're trying to get more coins to build more buildings. Koro Legacy does so in a 10-game series where each game will add something permanently to the game or change something permanently. But when you're done with game 10, you have a somewhat different set of rules than you had when you started, more cards than when you started, and yet you can still play it for the foreseeable future. You'll have your own sort of custom-built Koro. It works well. In fact, I think it's better than Koro itself. The legacy version lets you, if you kind of tilt towards less mean cards, you can do so in this game. And there's some other cute, interesting things that I don't want to spoil for you, but that are in the game. And it's fun to kind of go through and explore it. It is not a disposable game. The first 10 games, you can't really go back and replay them per se. But like I said, by the time you get to game 11, you have your own version of Koro that you can play for a long time. A simple, easy game for people to get into. My number 8, Koro Legacy.
Number 7.
Number 7, I actually debated putting on this list because this game is so easy to get into and yet can be really tricky to do well at. And that is Tiny Towns. So Tiny Towns is a game in which apparently you're anthropomorphic animals. I didn't even notice them. They're on the box, okay? But anyway, it's using these boards here, and you are trying to build buildings. But to build these buildings, you need to get certain number of cubes in a certain specific thing on the board. But players are taking turns calling out a cube color and placing it anywhere on their board. Everyone is playing the exact same game with these cubes, almost bingo-esque, but the way you place them, and then you can change different combinations of the cubes into buildings. Those buildings then clog up your board, but they give you points based on how you have them placed. Every game uses a different group of buildings. Every game's going to feel different. And while the base concept of the game, the conceit of just taking these cubes and putting them there is really easy, and I can easily teach this game in just a few minutes, figuring out how to do well at it is trickier. So it's a family game with some teeth behind it that even gamers, I think, will have a lot of fun with this one. So my number 7, Tiny Towns.
Number 6.
For the past few years, the undisputed king of board game sales seems to have been Azul. Well, this year they came out with the third game in this series, which is Azul Summer Pavilion. And I think Azul Summer Pavilion, besides being one of the prettiest of this series, is, I think, the easiest one to teach. In this game, you are drafting different rhombi shaped tiles, and you're going to take these tiles and place them on your board, and you score points by putting them next to other tiles of the same color or by surrounding shapes on the board. And it's not that difficult. In fact, I think that the entry point to this one is one of the easiest that there is in the series, because you can figure it out, but knowing which tiles to draft and where to put the tiles and when can offer some pretty sound choices. It's probably my favorite of the Azul series, but it is easily, if you have never played before, I think it's the one I would have you play first. I think it's the easiest one to jump into, but still offers a good chunk of strategy. So my number 6, Azul Summer Pavilion.
Number 5.
Number 5 is a good pick for families because it takes something that we all know and love very well, and that's fairy tales, and puts them into a game where you are trying to deduce who other people are, and that is Grimm Masquerade. Now, what makes Grimm Masquerade really cool is that there are a lot of these games out there where you are trying to figure out who someone else is, a werewolf or things like that. But in Grimm Masquerade, you don't need a large number of players. In fact, you could play it very well with just 3. A lot of these games only work well in large groups. This one works well in smaller groups. You are trying to deduce by the items that people take who they are. So if I'm Cinderella, I might be trying to get the glass slipper, while something that's good for me might be something bad for somebody else. And so you are trying to eliminate, the game has player elimination, but you're only eliminated briefly for a round, and then you come right back in the game. And it's fast, it's simple, has some gorgeous artwork, and it's just really easy for people to get into, especially since this stuff makes sense. Of course, someone's going to like a mirror, and someone else will be afraid of a mirror. Of course, someone's going to like, you know, the treats, and someone else, like Hans, is probably going to get caught by the witch if he eats the treats. So it's a cool mixing of all these fairy tales, but also offers some it's a light deductive game, but I think it is a really fun one. That's Grimm Masquerade, my number 5.
Number 4.
Number 4 looks like a kid's game, and it could be played with kids, but it's easily a family game and has some really fun aspects to it, and that is Monster Baby Rescue. This game is designed by Vlad Kovatel, who is known for designing heavier games. The last one he designed was Underwater Cities, which is a very involved Euro-style game. Monster Baby Rescue is much simpler than that. In this game, you are collecting monster pieces, monster tiles. You are one of these monsters here, and you're going to collect different tiles, and there's a gazillion tiles. On your turn, you just pull a tile, but the tile that you pull has a number next to it, and that's how far you move around the board. The farther your number moves, you have to wait for a few other people to take turns before you can go again. While if you pick smaller number tiles, you might get more turns. Problem is, sometimes the tile you really want is next to a higher number. That's basically it. You're trying to upgrade your monster, make him look cleaner. You're trying to make his living area better. It's a silly, cute theme, but the gameplay and the drafting of tiles offers some really cool, meaty choices. This is one that I would recommend. You could play it with your kids. You could play it with people, a group of adults I played it with, and we all had a great time. I like it very much. Monster Baby Rescue.
Number 3.
Kids table board games makes really great family fare for sure, and their latest game that came out this year is no exception to that. This is Wreck Raiders. So in Wreck Raiders, you are deep sea diving, trying to get treasure. And you do this by throwing dice into a box and then drafting those dice and using them to place your deep sea divers on the board, trying to get sets of treasure, trying to get different shells and starfish to turn them in for points. There is so many good options in this game for how easy it is. Take a dive, put a guy in that spot. Then in that spot, I get treasures, which I'm going to collect and turn in sets for this, or I can put them over here. There's seemingly a few choices, but there's a lot of options behind them. And then on top of that, the game looks gorgeous. I would even argue this picture doesn't even do it justice. It looks better than that picture. It's a really well-produced game, like all their stuff is. And of all the games that they put out so far, this is probably my favorite and one that I would like to play with my own family easily. Wreck Raiders.
Number 2.
Every once in a while, you come across that game that just works, and that's despite the theme, I guess. In this case, it would be Copenhagen. Now, Copenhagen, I'm all glad that we want to build up the town of Copenhagen, but this kind of cover doesn't inspire, hey, this is something I want to play with my family. However, once you look at the pieces of the game and you're like, oh, it's like taking tiles of Tetris and dropping them in to make a building. Yeah, that works. You collect cards, turn in those cards to get tiles of certain sizes, put them in your building just like Tetris, and you're building up the building, which looks really amazing as you build it up, and then you're trying to fill rows and columns with or without windows, and maybe get special ability tiles that you can use, that you can draw more cards. This is on the weight of Ticket to Ride. Actually, it's probably a little bit less complicated than Ticket to Ride, but really easy for people to get into. This is one of my most successful games, right? Hey, you want to learn Copenhagen? You teach it to people, boom, they'll play it. This is one of those games that I think every store should have on its demo shelf because it's that easy to teach and learn and play, and that is why it's my number 2 on this list, Copenhagen.
And finally, number 1.
Quick, before I do my number 1, I need to point out earlier when I talked about Baby Dragon Rescue, that is Vladimir Suchi, not Cavato. He's a different designer. Suchi is I love his stuff. It's fantastic, and so I want to make sure I'm giving credit to the right designer. Let's start here with the last one, with one of the biggest hits of the year. You can go to, if you have Target in your country, you can go there and get it, and that's Horrified. There are very few monster games I'm going to play with my kids. Arkham Horror, no. Too gory, too nasty, too dark. Most horror games are. Horrified is more of that silly, it's the Universal Studios monsters. And it's a great cooperative game that's really on the same level as Pandemic. You pick 2, 3, or if you're insane, 4 monsters to go up against, and then you have to stop them in different ways. The Wolfman you need to find a cure for. Frankenstein and his bride, make them find love. Dracula, well, stake that guy. But whatever it is, each one has a different way to defeat it. Meanwhile, they're going after you and the unsuspecting townspeople who you need to protect and don't seem to be very smart. It's fun, it's simple, and it's just oozing with theme and entertainment. I like this one a lot. I think this is easily one of the biggest hits of the year, but it's one I would definitely check out to play with your family. Horrified. Alrighty, so those are my top 10 picks for the year. What would you say? What did I miss? Tell me right now in the comments, and we'll take a look. Family games is obviously, some families will say, well, we played, and then they pick a very complex game to talk about. And others, again, like I said, these don't have to be played with your family. Sometimes they work well with the kids. Sometimes maybe they don't. But I try to pick, I think, casual games, a game that you can teach almost anybody to play. These are the kind of games that I would pick for this list. So let's see what you guys think should be on the list. Ticket to Ride London, that's a good choice. I like Ticket to Ride London a lot. All the Ticket to Rides are really good. Ticket to Ride London is a 15-minute, easy to jump into version of Ticket to Ride that uses little double-decker buses, so that's kind of cool too. Let's see. Rome, Actually, I haven't got a chance to play Rome yet. I know Sam did, but I heard that Rome's pretty good. Funko games, sure, the Funko games are fantastic. I feel like I could put the Funko games in almost every list I do. Really entertaining, fun games, and actually that's from the same design team that did Horrified. In fact, I put little Funko stuff in my Horrified game. My Little Scythe is not this year. Wingspan is pretty good, although it's a little more complex than I would normally put on my family games lists. I have not played Rival Restaurants. Let's see what else have people been saying. Uno. Uno did not come out in 2019. Had Uno come out in 2019, it wouldn't have made the list. Parks is a good one. Unfortunately, I've not yet had a chance to play Parks, but I heard Z say it's an excellent game. I'm looking forward to trying it out. Silver and Gold is good. That would probably work pretty well. Bear Park came out in 2018, although an expansion for Bear Park came out in 2019. So, alrighty. Well, that's what you all are saying to check out. That's my top 10 family games. I'm not done for the day. Come back at 2 o'clock. Me and Z Garcia are going to be taking a look at the year 2015. Ooh, was that a good year or not? Find out then. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the best of 2019 top 10 family games on the Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.